Hey Illumineers, welcome back! Attack of the Vine is almost here, and by now most of you probably have your pre-release tickets locked in. In this video, I'm counting down the top 20 cards to look out for in Sealed. For each card, I will explain what it does, why it's strong in Sealed, and how it can help you win at your pre-release. Kicking off the list is Darkwing Duck, a 3-cost character that deals 1 damage to a chosen character when he enters play. Now, 1 damage doesn't sound very exciting until your opponent has a 4 willpower character in play. Deal 1 damage with Darkwing Duck and suddenly one of your 3 strength characters can banish it. It's a small effect, but it creates some great traits in Sealed. Coming in at number 19 is the Bear. At first glance, a 2 strength character doesn't exactly scream whoa, but that's kind of the point. His 5 willpower makes him difficult to remove. Then once he has damage on him, he suddenly has 5 strength. That really creates awkward situations for your opponents. If they don't challenge him, he keeps questing. If they challenge him but don't finish the job, they will now have to face a 5 strength character. Number 18 is You Broke My Smolder, and I think this card is much better than it looks. At first glance, discarding your entire hand sounds terrifying, but in Sealed, you will often find yourself reaching the mid-game with 1 card or even no cards at all. That's where this card really shines. If your hand is already empty, you're essentially paying 1 ink to draw 2 cards. That's exactly the kind of refill you want when you and your opponent are top decking. Just make sure you don't get too excited and cast it with your future self. Coming in at number 17 is Absorbing Bloom. Whenever a character is banished in a challenge that turn, you pay 1 ink to draw a card. Now ask yourself, how often do characters get banished in Sealed? Pretty much every turn. Card draw can be rare though in Sealed, which makes effects like this incredibly helpful. It helps you keep finding characters while your opponent slowly starts running out of resources. And in Sealed, having just 1 or 2 extra cards can easily be the difference between winning and losing. At number 16, we have Pocahontas. And I love the tempo this card gives you. When you play her, you may immediately play a 1-cost character for free. That means you're putting 2 characters on the board in a single turn. Board presence is incredibly important in Sealed. The more characters you have, the more options you have for challenging, questing, and protecting your key cards. Sometimes getting ahead early is all you need to stay ahead for the rest of the game. Kicking off the top 15 is Besties Assemble. For just 1 ink, you get to look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You can reveal a character card, put it into your hand, and put the rest on the bottom in any order. Now, this might not look like the most exciting card in the set, but don't underestimate it. In Sealed, you only get 1 copy of your best card. If you opened an amazing super rare or legendary, you really want to find it. Besties Assemble helps you dig through your deck and makes it much more likely that you will see your strongest characters during the game. For just 1 ink, I'm happy to include it in my Sealed deck. At number 14, we have this cute little character called Lumpy. He's perfect to caught your opponent off guard. When Lumpy enters play, you can move up to 2 damage from 1 character onto an opposing character. That can save one of your own characters from being removed next turn, or to banish one of your opponent's characters. This is incredibly powerful in Sealed because every character matters. Your opponent thinks their board is safe, then Lumpy comes in along and changes the whole board. Coming in at number 13 is Source of Divine. We all have to pay taxes, but in Disney Lorcana, that's new. Every time your opponent quests, they have to make a choice. Either pay 1 ink or give you 1 lore. Neither option feels good. Early in the game, spending ink slows down their development. Late in the game, giving you lore gets you closer to winning, and if that wasn't annoying enough, you can always spend 2 ink yourself to gain lore. It builds pressure throughout the game, and if your opponent cannot remove it, they will definitely regret not having more item removal in their deck. Coming in at number 12 is Sully the New Boss. This is one of the cards that I really enjoyed playing during my playtesting. When you play Sully, you immediately return a character from your discard pile to your hand, which is great once you start running low on resources. But what I liked the most about him was his bodyguard ability. Your opponent can't ignore Sully and has to remove him first before going after your best questers. Getting a character back and protecting your board makes Sully an excellent pick for sealed. Just missing out of the top 10 is Genie. He has evasive, and that is much stronger in this set than people might realize. There are only 9 evasive cards in the entire set, and only 2 cards with alert that can challenge them. So unless your opponent runs one of those answers, Genie is often going to quest safely for several turns, and that's exactly what makes evasive so scary in sealed. If Genie sticks around for 3 or 4 turns, it can completely swing the game. We've officially made it into the top 10, and we're kicking things off with Winnie the Pooh and Piglet. This card feels like it was almost designed for sealed. Pooh and Piglet gain 1 extra lore for each different ink type character you have in play. Now, normally in Constructed, you're limited to just 2 ink colors, but in Sealed, there are no color restrictions. That means it's easy for Pooh and Piglet to start questing for 3, 4, or even more lore in a single turn. And if your opponents can't answer them quickly, the game ends fast. Now, let's just hope I can open the enchanted version during my pre-release. Coming in at number 9 is Mushu. Like Genie, Mushu benefits from the fact that there simply aren't many evasive answers in the set. But Mushu brings extra. Whenever he quests, if your opponent has more cards in hand than you get to draw a card. I can tell you that happens more often than you would think. Whether you're going second or your opponent has managed to draw a few cards, Mushu keeps your hand full while getting you closer to the card. Card draw is very important in sealed, but to put that on an evasive character, even better. At number 8, we have Woody and Buzz Lightyear. Now, this might surprise some people. It's a 7 cost character, and therefore I rank it a little lower in sealed because you won't always reach 7 ink. But if you do, Woody and Buzz can bring a lot of value to the game. When they enter play, if your opponent has more cards than you, you simply draw until you have the same number. But their second ability is what really makes this card shine in sealed. Every time they quest, you get to play a card costing 2 or less for free. So not only do they refill your hand, they also help empty it by giving you free plays every turn. Number 7 is Rapunzel Tower Defender, and I honestly think this is one of the most underrated cards for sealed in the set. When you play her, you may choose and discard a card. If you do, you can return a chosen character back to your opponent's hand, which is great if you need to get rid of a character you cannot deal with. Just missing out on the top 5 is Megavolt, and I think this ranking might surprise a lot of people. He quests for 3 lore, which is incredible for any character, but his real power is that he gains resist +2 while you have no cards in hand. Now, normally that might sound difficult to achieve, but in sealed, it's actually really common. By the mid-game, you often have an empty hand, and once that happens, Megavolt suddenly becomes much harder to remove through challenges. A 3 lore character that's difficult to deal with, end games very quickly if your opponent doesn't have an answer. We've made it to the top 5, and kicking things off is Sheriff of Nottingham. He's your removal character. He's not even that difficult to pull, and even without his ability, he's already a solid body. But once he challenges, Challenger +3 takes him all the way up to 9 strength. There aren't many characters in sealed that survive that. Sometimes you want to open a fancy legendary in pre-release, but sometimes you just need to open a character that dominates the board, and Sheriff does exactly that. Coming in at number 4 is Dash, an evasive character that can generate free cards every turn. That's exactly what I want in Sealed. Whenever Dash quests, you reveal the top card of your deck. If you want, you can play it immediately. Otherwise, it goes into your discard pile. Think about that for a second. You're questing and revealing the top card that you can play. Even if the revealed card is too expensive to play, putting it into your discard isn't always a downside. There are a lot of cards in this set that help you play from the discard pile, so sometimes that even works in your favor. Taking the number 3 spot is Rapunzel and Flynn Rider. This is one of those cards where the more I play with it, the more impressed I became. Whenever Rapunzel and Flynn Rider quest, you draw a card and then discard a card. That already helps you filter through your deck and find your best cards. But then, this card says whenever you discard a character during your turn, you may play that character from your discard. So you're not really losing a card at all, you're improving your hand and developing your board at the same time. And at number 2, we have Peter Pan and Tinkerbell. This card is absolutely incredible if you can shift it into play. Suddenly, every single one of your characters gains evasive. Now, remember what I mentioned earlier, there are only 9 evasive characters in this entire set, and only 2 characters with alerts. So giving your whole board evasive makes it incredibly difficult for your opponent to interact with your characters through challenges. Instead, they just have to watch while your entire team keeps collecting lore. Even without the shift, this is still a fantastic card. But if you manage to shift it in, it can completely change the game early on. And finally, my number 1 pick for Sealed is Horned King. This card completely changes one of the biggest weaknesses of Sealed. Almost every Sealed game reaches the point where both players are top decking, hoping to draw something useful each turn. The Horned King completely changes that. While he's exerted, you can play characters directly from your discard pile. Yes, they enter play exerted, but honestly, I don't care. Instead of relying on the top part of your deck, you suddenly have access to an entire second hand sitting in your discard pile. The longer that game goes on, the stronger the Horned King becomes. During my playtesting, every time this card was on the board, it made my game so much easier. And that's exactly why it's my number 1 sealed card in Attack of the Vine. That's my top 20 sealed cards for Attack of the Vine. Now, go out there, open a pre-release pack, and let's get dangerous. But before you go, I would love to hear from you. Do you agree with my list? Is there a card you think should have made the top 20? Or maybe one you would rank much higher? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more Disney Lorcana content. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!